or a colleague, they have a responsibility of shaping them by giving them work that brings out their strengths and tries to suppress their weaknesses.
Hello, how are you? I hope you've been well. Praise the Lord. I've also been well since our last episode, and now I take this chance to invite you to this second part. It's second because it's building on the previous one. So if you've not watched Understanding the 4 Temperaments, you need to go there and start there so that you can make sense of what we are about to say in this session. But this one is going to be even more interesting because we are going to contextualize the 4 temperaments in our daily lives so that we know how we behave and what to expect from other people and how to deal with them in this in the context of our workplace. So, karibu sana. If you've not subscribed, please do so. Let's move together. Karibu sana, Pastor.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, as you enlighten us on this.
Yeah.
So, take us through the 4 temperaments in our workplace setup.
Okay.
Because we've had issues with our workplace, because our colleagues don't understand one another, bosses don't understand their colleagues, colleagues don't understand their bosses, and there's a lot of clash at the workplace.
Okay.
How can we exist peacefully at the workplace? Yeah.
Thank you, Tina, for once again having me. Eliud, I serve as a pastor, and I'm also privileged to be a psychologist, which is a blessing for me to kind of be in the two worlds.
Sure.
And I thank God for this talk because it's a very practical talk. It's something that relates to people at a personal level.
Sure.
So we shall try to kind of capture the essence at the workplace. But even before I continue, I want to say that personalities have been used and also misused at workplace.
Sure.
Where people kind of take a stand where I am this, I cannot change. When we talk about temperaments, it doesn't mean that we are rigid and fixated in a certain area. It is only that when we understand, we ourselves first can be able to know what to do about our strengths and weaknesses. But also when we understand about other people, we can be able to at least adjust for them and also position them where their personalities fit.
It's true.
And that is the advantage of understanding.
Yeah.
So having said that, then I think we can go straight to the temperaments and how they affect the workplace. As usual, we start where?
The sanguine.
The sanguine, yes.
My favorite.
I know why.
Yeah.
Sanguines are easy to work with.
Okay.
But they are also a challenge. In that sanguines have no consistency, but they make the workplace a place of joy. So they're important, but they need some guidance. So I'll start with when you are a sanguine and a worker. You have to grow in the discipline of workplace so that you can get results. Because if you don't train yourself to be there and to consistently do something, then results may not be there. That is now the responsibility of the worker. But for anyone that is working with a sanguine, be it a boss or a colleague, they have a responsibility of shaping them by giving them work that brings out their strengths and tries to suppress their weaknesses. And so what is the best thing? It is to involve them in activities that are not routine.
Okay.
They can thrive there and they can be very productive.
Send them to the field.
Yes.
For field work if there's one. When there's a workshop, please give them an opportunity.
Yes.
So that they break the workplace monotony.
Very true.
I get it.
And then don't let them do something that is monotonous. You can change the work setting for them.
Yeah.
So if today they are working in this department, next week they can work in another department.
Sure.
But don't force them to just stick to a monotonous thing, because you'll get wearied out fast and they will not produce results.
Yeah, what you're saying, I agree, because I think the sanguine will, because of something you mentioned previously about the attention.
Yes.
So the first few moments when you assign the task, they are very productive.
Very true.
But the longer you keep them there,
Yeah.
the less productive they become.
Yes.
Which is very good for bosses to note, and also for colleagues to note, so that when a sanguine comes and perhaps they need a change or they request for a change, you don't misunderstand them. And also that you may meet their needs so that they can be productive.
Very true.
That's a sanguine.
That's a sanguine for you.
Phlegmatic.
Phlegmatic, as we said in an earlier episode, they thrive in a routine job. They are not offended when they are sent. They are a bit more responsive to colleagues and to bosses, which also can tend for them to be misused because they will not even resist if they are told they are going to work overtime. So because of that pacificity, then it makes them a very good candidate for being misused in the workplace. So as a worker, let me now speak to the phlegmatic. You have to learn to be assertive, because in our society today, bosses and colleagues are not very friendly, and sometimes it's all about the bottom line and the profits. So if you're not careful, you can find that you are the favorite, but this favorite is not because of really that you're producing, but you can be relied on. Okay,
Loyal.
You are loyal. Phlegmatics are very loyal. So to the bosses and to the colleagues, then they have a responsibility to motivate the phleg, because a phleg can be so passive and they can stay at the same level for a very long time,
and they don't mind,
they won't complain, and they won't see it as a big issue. When the choleric is pushing every day to rise to the next level, the phleg is relaxed. That is their nature. So motivate them and give them work that kind of motivates them in itself. Especially when we talk about goals, we talk about targets, then create that capacity in them that you trust that they can deliver, and surely they will.
That's a phleg.
That's a phleg, yes.
Okay. I can't wait for the video you'll be talking to us about marriage, because that one seems like a good spouse. Loyal.
A very good spouse.
I don't want to go into the details of that, so that our viewer will check out the next episode.
Yes.
There's the melancholic at work.
Oh, yes.
As a colleague and also as a boss.
Let's start as a worker. They are very creative. They are solution oriented. They are results focused. They are reliable, very efficient, sometimes even bordering on perfectionism. They can really be a conflict causing people in the workplace because of their really needs, especially if they are the boss.
That's a melancholic.
That's a melancholic, because of the need for perfection. So they will check a task, everything, and the worst thing is they will point out the mistake and ignore every other good thing. So that's a colleague, that is a worker for you. Okay. Now colleagues and bosses who are working with the melancholic, they have a responsibility of being alert, not to be offended by their pessimistic nature, but also number two, to not take them so seriously, because they change their moods very quickly and they are not very predictable. So they have a responsibility of taking it slow with them. But also one way you can motivate, because I also didn't tell you that melancholics are also very good procrastinators.
Okay.
Yes.
They can mark time. In the
Not
same
really.
place.
They wait until the last minute to do something.
Oh.
Yes, and they work very well under pressure.
Okay.
So they will pen a task until the last possible moment.
Wow.
And so they are, although they are perfectionists, they may fail because now the pressure may be too high for them to accomplish. So they need to be given tasks that have timelines, and this helps them to accomplish.
which means they're also more prone to stress.
Yes.
Because they want perfection.
Yes.
Perfectionism.
Yes.
But they want a last minute rush.
That is
and
it.
these two cannot work together.
They may never work. So they are,
yeah.
yes, you are right. They are prone. They are the most highly prone to stress.
So if you're melancholic, you have a task.
Yes.
And maybe later on, when we'll be concluding this temperament series, you'll be showing us more practically and in a more detailed way how we can overcome the weaknesses in these temperaments,
Yes.
so that we become holistic individuals.
Very true.
Because I realize so much of the stress we have right now amongst people may not even be externally caused.
Yes.
They might be internal.
Very true.
Because we set the standards too high for ourselves, we can't meet them, we feel like failures.
Very true.
As in the case of a melancholic.
Yes.
Okay, what about
The
these
last
choleric in our workplace?
Choleric, I would say, is a very difficult worker, and even more difficult as a boss.
Okay.
Because cholerics are ambitious, they are aggressive, they are pushy, they are result-oriented, task-oriented. They have little empathy for people. So what they are after is, what is it that you have done, not how you have done it.
Really?
Yes.
What you have done, not how you
It doesn't matter for them.
They are results oriented. Okay.
A manager who is a choleric will push the people to the limit, because on the thing they see is the final outcome, even at the beginning.
Yeah.
So as a worker, if you are a choleric, you have to learn to temper down. Because you can imagine a worker who is a choleric and a boss, let's say, who is a phlegmatic. The worker may seem like the boss, because you're even commanding the boss. Yeah. So they have to temper down that aggressiveness. That's the training they have to go through. And then for colleagues and bosses who are dealing with a choleric, they have to be they have to communicate, very efficiently, so that the choleric does not put them on the spot, especially publicly.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
The communication must, because a choleric will always be like, why is this not done? Why is this not, given? Why is this not provided? So the boss or the colleague must always communicate efficiently, so that the now choleric can now push their way towards achieving what they're meant to achieve. And that is not easy. It requires some hard work.
Wow. We have a task as individuals, as members of the society, and as team players in our workplaces, to really work on our temperaments, so that they don't hurt others, we don't hurt ourselves, and still we get the results.
Yes, and I think as I close, I can say the most important thing about understanding temperaments is not to force our will on people, or to expect people to understand our weaknesses. It is basically to allow us to grow. Because you cannot just, say, I'm like this, and be comfortable for who you are. We have the capacity to adjust. We have the capacity to adapt. That capacity is in each one of us. So what you do, if you understand you are choleric, understand all your weaknesses. Then build on your strengths. Each personality has an importance and has a downside. And even within a marriage, I think this is the most intimate relationship we have. Then these temperaments come out very, very clearly when males and females meet together. And it reflects in how we spend, it reflects in how we parent, it reflects on how